Welcome in, guys, to Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 245 spoilers. As you guys may have noticed, this is the first Jujutsu Kaisen video on this channel, but from here on out, I'm planning on doing these weekly, whether it be spoilers or just straight up reviews on the chapter. And the reason why is, one, Jujutsu Kaisen is freaking amazing, and two, I read the spoilers and the chapters every week, so why not talk about it a little bit? Before we hop into it though, major shoutouts to Scanpia as well as Miyamura, because they are the ones posting the leaks over on Twitter, and those are the leaks we're gonna be reading today. So to kick things off, the chapter starts with Uraume grumbling that she got separated from Sukuna and attacks Hakari with Frost Calm. Frost Calm is the true essence of the curse technique Ice Formation, and it hits the subject with curse energy in a super cooled state and freezes them. And the opening editor note of this chapter says, outside the Sukuna fight, the hot gambler Hakari versus the frozen star Uraume. I feel like the past couple of chapters, they've been hitting us with the bait and switch technique. Right when you think we're gonna get more of the Sukuna fight, we get something else entirely. On to the next couple of pages, Uraume tries to finish off Hakari, saying this is the end. But Hakari breaks down the ice quickly and grabs Uraume and throws her away. I'm assuming you guys have already seen the panels over on Twitter, but when Uraume uses Frost Calm, it actually takes Hakari's entire right arm. So Hakari breaking the ice is actually him just destroying his own body in the process. Once they hit the ground, Uraume makes attacks once again, but gets shocked by Hakari's regeneration speed and says that Hakari's regeneration speed surpasses that of Gojo and Sukuna. We already knew that Hakari was that guy, but hearing Uraume says it makes it feel all the better, right? Because this is somebody who's been around for the last 1,000 years, praising Hakari for his crazy reverse curse technique. So Hakari goes in to attack Uraume, but Uraume grabs hold of Hakari, who was about to kick her, and tries to freeze his leg. But Hakari slips out of his shoe and kicks Uraume on her face and sends her flying. I think the funniest part about this is that after he lands this attack, he starts looking through the rubble for his lost shoe, which actually works out quite well because Uraume starts going on just an entire monologue talking about how modern day sorcerers are trying to be human. So according to Scanpia's translation, Uraume says they tell themselves not to break things to keep their human nature, while the ability grows inside them. But that human nature is the weakness of fearing loneliness. You don't have that fear. So I'm changing my cognition of you, and I won't regard you as human anymore. I love how Uraume is gassing up Hakari right now, and Hakari hasn't even used his unkillable mode or domain expansion yet. So after Uraume says she'll crush Hakari with all her might, Hakari responds by saying, I've been heated up for a long time. Bring me an ice cold one. So even though Hakari's looking pretty damn good right now, I don't want to count Uraume out just yet. Mainly because in this panel where Uraume says, I'm going to crush you, we see like water spurting from all the frozen pipes that Uraume just bursted, which is something they didn't list here. And hey, this could definitely give Uraume the edge in the fight, but Hakari could easily just leave this area with the bursted pipes and or just activate his domain expansion. And that is when we cut back to the trial and Judge Man says Yuji is accused of mass murder in Shibuya, but Higuruma defends Yuji, saying that the true culprit is actually Sukuna. Not gonna lie, they got me in the first half because I thought this was gonna be a straight up Hakari fighting chapter and we'd go on the next 3 or 4 weeks just going through this fight, but no. They brought us back to the trial. So Higuruma thinks of ways to uphold Sukuna being guilty, but Sukuna, without any care, tells him to get the process over with already. Sukuna says he already knows about Higuruma's domain rules back when he was inside Yuji, so he's only interested about Higuma's sword and nothing else. That right there is truly menacing. He knows what Higuruma's sword can do. He knows that it is a one-shot, one-kill, but he said, nah, I want to see it. Whip it out. That is when Judge Man deems Sukuna guilty and announces the death penalty as well as confiscation on him. I'm surprised by how fast this court process has been handled, mainly because bouncing off of last chapter, a lot of people were thinking of ways for Sukuna to talk his way out of it or ways to overpower Higuruma's domain, but that didn't happen. He just straight up said, yo, I don't care, bring out the sword. And that is exactly what Higuruma does. He pulls out the sword and he says that Sukuna most likely lost the 10 Shadows technique's functionality during his fight with Gojo. And cutting over to Scanpia's translation, they say, so with that being the case, the thing that's most likely to be confiscated is actually Sukuna's shrine. Higuruma then says, I'm able to wield this sword, while Sukuna is unable to use his cursed technique. And the narrator even jumps in, and they say that a chance to win. Missing this chance will not be forgiven. And as soon as Higuruma's domain opens up, we see Ino, Kusakabe, and they don't say it here, but Choso is actually in the lineup as well, and they join the battle. But right as that happens, Higuruma suddenly gets a flashback of someone saying, "Do you want to die, Higuruma?" And we all know what a flashback means in Jujutsu Kaisen. The minute a flashback starts rolling, heads start rolling. It is just that in sync. As far as Ino, Kusakabe, or Choso being here, I don't really think... It's sad to say because I do like these characters, but I can't imagine they're gonna add too much to this fight, given what we learn in the very next page. But outside of that though, I am excited to see Ino fight. I mean, he got kind of snuffed out early when we last saw him, so maybe he's gonna show up pretty crazy here. Same with Kusakabe. I feel like this is another character we haven't really seen too much of. So seeing Ino and Kusakabe here, while I don't think they're gonna be exactly boxing Sukuna, I would be excited to see some new techniques from them. As far as Choso being here, I think it's really cool that he showed up because since Yuji is in the background somewhere, we could get a brotherly beatdown on Sukuna pretty dang soon. But in terms of just overall power, I don't think he's going to hold too much of a candle against Sukuna out of all people. So going out on the next page, the chance that Higuma and company thought they had was just superficial because Higuruma's domain confiscation applied only to Sukuna's cursed tool, but not his cursed technique. That is when Sukuna's slashes rained down on the sorcerers. Right when Sukuna whipped out Yorozu's cursed tool, I was pretty dang excited. I wanted to see what it could actually do. Turns out Sukuna only brought it out so that it could be confiscated. He knew what was going to happen. He was inside Yuji's body this entire time. He knew how this domain expansion would act. Because going back to the initial fight with Yuji and Higuruma, since Yuji didn't have a cursed technique, instead confiscation ended up taking away his use of cursed energy. So Sukuna must have thought like, hey, what would happen if I had a cursed tool with me? Like, would they take that instead? Turns out they did. And yeah, that's pretty much where the chapter ends off. We see Kusakabe and Higuruma getting slashed to bits. They don't look like they're dead, so I'm expecting them to still be around next chapter. And plus, with how interested Sukuna was in the Executioner's Sword, I really doubt this is the end of Higuruma right here. What I do find a little bit interesting about these last few pages is that you actually don't see Yuji, Choso, or Ino anywhere. So hopefully, you know, come next chapter, they're gonna have some crazy sneak attacks ready to go. But with Sukuna being who he is, and with him having the whole kitchen at his disposal, I wouldn't be surprised if he's ready and waiting for it. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this week's Jujutsu Kaisen spoilers. Thank you so much for watching the video up until this point. I really freaking appreciate it. If I messed up anything or if I left out any information or if you have any recommendation for these videos, just let me know down below. I would love to hear it. And yeah, hopefully we can keep doing these in the future and hopefully I'll see you guys later. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out.